These are gingerbread cupcakes with a Biscoff cookie butter frosting, and I have to say I think these are the highlight of my eMagazine. In the magazine, I have different flavors that I highlight, different flavor combos, and this one is gingerbread cookie butter. The spice notes from the gingerbread go perfectly with the creamy sweetness of the cookie butter, and then they're topped with a Biscoff cookie and a little gingerbread guy. They are adorable. One of my favorite things ever. So you start with a gingerbread cake mix. This is a semi-DIY kind of recipe. Now, if you can't find the gingerbread cake mix, you can totally sub a spice cake mix. They're similar enough that you'll have the same kind of vibe from the gingerbread cake mix. You're gonna divide the batter like you normally would in a cupcake pan, and I am always back and forth about liners. I really like the decorative liners, but the foil just hold their color so well. And when you're filling up all the liners, make sure to fill them up about 2/3 of the way. Sometimes the foil liners have a tendency to separate from the cupcake a little bit, so if you fill them up a little bit higher, 2/3, 3/4 at the most, then they usually stick really well. So then you'll bake them according to the package instructions and let them cool completely. Meanwhile, we're gonna dip the Biscoff cookies. Now, I usually cut them in half. You could use a whole one, but then they don't stick into the cupcake as well. Melt the white chocolate. I always use Ghirardelli melts. They just melt so creamy and smooth. Most people ask me how I get the chocolate to be so thin, and it really isn't me. It's just the brand. It's white chocolate melts, again by Ghirardelli, and they come in a bag. I usually get them at Target or Publix. So you'll put them aside, let them set, and then make the buttercream. And this is just a really standard, delicious vanilla buttercream that I'm using as the base, and then I'm gonna add in the cookie butter. I always use my vanilla frosting recipe as the base, and then you could add in the cookie butter, you could add in Nutella, peanut butter, almond butter. So I start with the same recipe for each and then build it up to match the cupcake flavor. A few little notes here. I always add in half salted butter and half unsalted butter. I used to work for a chocolate factory and work with pastry chefs, and one of them suggested that I do it that way, and I am obsessed. It's always the perfect amount of salt. And some people ask me why there's a variance, like 3 to 4 tablespoons of heavy cream, 2 to 3, 5 to 6. The reason is it depends on the temperature of the butter that you use. So if I say softened, that means different things to different people, so it'll change the amount of heavy cream that you're adding back. Once the cupcakes are cooled, we're gonna add the frosting, and you can just put it on with a knife if you want. You can use a piping bag with no tip. I used a simple 1M tip. I use that pretty much for everything. It's like the perfect swirl. And you don't have to frost this one too high. 2 reasons: because you want the gingerbread man and the Biscoff cookie to be able to sit in it really nicely, and also the sweetness against the gingerbread is the perfect amount if there's just 1 or 2 swirls. And I love these little gingerbread people. I got them off of Amazon, and they're pressed sugar, so you can eat them as well. Everyone will like the taste because it's really just sugar. You can find the entire recipe in the latest issue of my eMagazine, and please be sure to subscribe and sprinkle a little fun into your kitchen.